What would happen if an ancient warrior from the year 402 AD was turned into a super-powered hero and returned today? Welcome to the Complete Story Series. We take trade paperbacks and single issues and we turn them into digestible bites for you to understand. Then we read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Remember to support the industry, guys, by requesting Valiant Comics at your local store if they don't carry it. This is Exo Manowar, issues 1 through 4. Welcome to Northern Italy, 402 AD. The Visigoths and the Romans are going to war, and the Visigoths are worried about their chances with such an impressive number of soldiers that the Romans have brought to the battlefield. That is until the mightiest warrior, Auric, arrives shouting, "Hold your ground, Visigoths! Show the Romans what we are made of!" He leads the charge, bringing the Visigoths back to the battle. The swords hit the armor and the shields block the arrows, but the men of the Visigoth are terrified at the amount of them. "There are too many," they shout. But Auric stands his ground. "Patience! I can only kill one at a time." The soldiers are right though, and there are far too many. Auric ignores all of this until his own father is wounded on the battlefield. So the Visigoths pack up and retreat to the outskirts of northern Italy, where Auric stays at his father's bedside until he passes. Furious over the death, Auric grabs some able-bodied men and they lead a night assault on the Romans. And that's when things get odd, my dear listeners. Because as they head back to what surely would have been their demise, they find odd-looking men in very odd-looking armor in what appears to be an odd-looking wagon. Auric charges in and catches them off guard, while his men fight these strange soldiers with fire coming out of their hands. He removes the soldier's helmet, and he sees a beast. While this battle is going on, these beasts are sneaking into the Visigoth camp, where they steal a baby and they put down one of their own, after injecting it with a fluid that makes it take the appearance of the baby that they just stole. But back with Auric, he leads his men into a charge against the giant metal suit, only to have his father's sword break as he tries to strike it. He stares down in shock that it was broken, and the metal suit swings at him, throwing him to the ground. Every one of those soldiers was knocked unconscious, and they were carried aboard the beast's bizarre wagon. But we know the truth. These beasts and their wagons are actually aliens with ships, and Auric was just abducted. Once they're brought to the colony, they're carried off in chains. But Auric breaks himself free and he chokes his guard. Free, but on a strange world, he sets a friend free and the two of them run throughout the alien hallways. Absolutely and completely lost, they wander the many hallways until they make their way to a ritual in which one of these aliens has been given an odd sphere. The alien touches it and he opens it up, and then it encases him in a blue and yellow armor. Then it kills the alien and returns back to the pedestal. The aliens look at it saddened. They won't get their warrior. The Shenhara has rejected another one of them. Auric was obviously recaptured. He's on an alien world with no idea how he can leave. He then finds himself jailed with the rest of the slaves. Years pass, and Auric keeps himself going by thinking about what he's gonna do when he's free, how he's gonna break out and return to his wife. Oh, his wife, how he misses her. The aliens force the slaves to tend to their gardens, and they grow all types of exotic fruits. And eventually, Auric even loses his hand in one of his moments of defiance. But he sees no way of escaping and continually uses his wife as a motivator to get out of this situation. Eventually, they do hatch a plan, and Auric leads the slaves to rebellion. They run through the colony with no idea where they're going to end up, killing as many aliens as they can en route and taking their weapons. But eventually, they find themselves backed into an armory that has no weapons. It only has that orb that turned into armor. Their plan was to load up on guns and fight until they died. But with only this orb here, Auric touches it. The armor conforms around Auric's body and he screams in pain. But then it stops and the armor stays on him. He wastes no time in blasting through these aliens, and the armor even reforms his missing hand. It's a miracle, he says. This armor is a miracle. He leads the charge throughout the ship, mass murdering the aliens. They stand no chance against this armor. And eventually, they even try to throw explosives at it. And while many of the human slaves who were alongside Auric are killed, the armor stands, and then he launches into the sky, firing a rocket back at the aliens. Eventually, he finds himself against the giant metal suit of armor that took him from his home, and he jumps straight at it. "You took me for my family, my home, my wife. If you won't fight me man to man, then you won't fight me armor to armor." He smashes open the cockpit and he reaches inside. "I will take your life. I will take your head." but the alien slaps explosives to Auric's chest. He looks down at it in shock and he jumps off the armor and then it explodes, taking out half of the alien spaceship with him. But he survives and he drifts off into space trying to get his bearings. The aliens try to lock the ship's cannons onto him. Seeing that he's about to be in trouble, he starts shouting out, "Rome! Rome! Rome!" And just like that, he appears in the city of Rome in the year 2012. He crash lands into the Colosseum, tearing down one of the walls. Shocked, he removes his helmet and looks around, but various soldiers are quickly arriving and raising their rifles at him. He turns and he sees them, and then he grits his teeth. "Roman pigs! So the general has dispatched his legionnaires to come welcome me. I hope he sent his best." And then he puts his helmet back on, and he begins to fire on them. He quickly propels himself at them and flies into the sky. Looking over the city, he sees that things have changed, and he intends to tear this new city apart. Nothing will keep Auric of the Visigoth, except the missile coming up from behind him, and it hits him square in the back. He turns around and he charges straight at the fighter jet, flying right down the middle of it, tearing it apart. Auric grabs the pilot out of the cockpit of another jet and he demands to know where the Emperor is. The terrified man tells him, "Italy doesn't have an emperor." Shocked, Auric can say nothing but, "You lie." But the suit helps him, and it fills him in with the knowledge of all major events that have happened since he left, and he realizes he's been gone for 16 centuries. He carries the pilot back down to Earth, and he asks him where the Visigoths are. And the pilot tells him that Rome is just a city now. The Visigoths don't exist anymore. So he takes off to sort his thoughts out. This is gonna take some time. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, the man is watching the news and he sees the armor. And he recognizes it. He sits up in his chair and he closes his eyes and he teleports himself mentally to a shared mindscape where many others are standing right now. All of the individuals here know that that was the Manowar armor, and the aliens know that their presence has been revealed to the world. It is time for them to invade Earth and get their armor back before any more damage can be done. And in another part of the globe, MI6 calls in one of its best agents, Ninjak, and he's been ordered to bring in the yellow and blue suit of armor. It looks like this world is about to see a number of heroes, and things are about to get interesting. This is the Valiant publisher of comics, another one of the other publishers we said we would be covering soon. And we have a lot more books from them that we intend to cover. But let me know in the comments down below what you think of them. And don't forget, if you want these books at your store or you want to order them online, look for Valiant and request them. I'm Benny for Comicstorian, and make sure you follow us on Twitter at Comicstorian and Instagram at Comicstorian. And don't forget, you can check out these other great videos on the screen right now. You just might like them. I'll see you next time right here.